Hey everybody, happy new day. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Unleashed Alchemy. All right, we are here for another download, for another message, for some more realizations. Before we get into it, I want to remind you about my new course that I just opened up. It is called How to Stand Firm in Your I Am Power in the 3D. All right, because sometimes during our transformational fire, during our spiritual rebirth, awakening, the dark, whatever you want to call it, you can feel crazy. All right, you may start to question your visions. You may start to question your new perspective because your vision, not just your natural vision, but your spiritual vision has gone to another level. You're experiencing elevation. You can tell something is taking place internally. All right. And you may not be able to explain that to other people. Your conversations are going to change. People are going to be able to see that the way that you communicate is changing. Everything is changing about you. And so to help you navigate that, that's what this course is for. So check it out. The link to the course is in the description box, all right, of this video. Also, I want to remind you too that I am taking one-on-one clients, okay? I do offer one-on-one sessions. These sessions are designed to be one session so that by the end of the session, you will be reminded of your internal power. You'll be more confident in your intuition. It's very transformational, all right? And so it's designed so that you don't have to make another appointment with me, okay? So that link to schedule an appointment with me is also in the description box. Let's get into today's episode. So I want to talk again about control, all right? And why we feel the need to control. I talked about this in another video, but I want to approach just control from another angle. So what we have to understand first is that when we relinquish control, we are letting go of anxiety and rigidity, all right? So that control comes from the need to have an attachment to something. That's something you can put in what that something is for you, all right? The need to control how that something is going to come to you, or just the need to control how things are supposed to look, because we are not programmed to be excited about the unknown. We're programmed to be excited, maybe not even excited, maybe that's the wrong word, but we are programmed to only honor what's known, all right? And so when you start to experience a spiritual elevation, you start to realize that it is in the unknown is where your magic lies, where the mysteries of you lie. All right. And so, but why do we control? Where does this control come from? Why? It's most of the time we control to keep what we don't want, to keep the unwanted from happening. And that causes us to be hyper focused on what we don't want. And when we become hyper focused on what we don't want, guess what? We get caught in a loop of the unwanted because our energy is going toward what we don't want. All right, that is very simple. And so what we do is, because we are approaching our life with control to keep the unwanted from happening, we can work. We can take action. We can do all this efforting. We can do all these things. But our energy is not on what we want. our energy then becomes, well, I have to hold on to this. I have to do this. I have to do this because I don't want this to happen. Then everything that we do is approached from frantic energy. We approach it from frantic energy. All right. Now, a caveat of that, a side note, is sure, we can have results. You know, let's use the example of a business. We can work that way with frantic energy to keep the unwanted from happening, to work in order to not lose the money that we invested in the business. We can approach it from that and we can get results, or sometimes not. But why work that way when there is another way? When there is a simpler way that involves ease and comfort, right? There is another way that involves surrender, not surrender to the point of saying, well, I don't care about the business anymore. I don't want the business. No, it's understanding that, okay, this business is a part of how I want to be expressed, a part of how my soul wants to be expressed. So I am going to allow it to be expressed through me. I'm going to allow the universe, God, elevated guides, my elevated ancestors to guide me into the action that I need to take for this business to show itself to the world, to me and to the world. All right. So control comes from anxiety. It comes from operating from what the mind knows. And it also causes us to judge ourselves. So those are three things that I want to get into. So the need to control comes from anxiety. All right. It comes from distress and uneasiness, leading to operating from what the mind knows. So let's take business, for example. I'll stick with that. Let's say that in the past, you know, you have worked on a business and you didn't get the results that you wanted. You were operating from frantic energy. But now on the other side of that, now that you've come to this point and you know that there is another way to approach this business because you have now elevated your consciousness, you are now approaching it from a spiritual angle, okay? What can happen is that the ego will come in and say, well, you remember what happened when you tried this business before. You remember what happened when you tried to open up that location. You remember what happened when. So you see, it comes from, the control comes from the anxiety of what has happened before, because you're operating from what the mind knows. The mind knows what happened in the past. The mind knows what's even happening right now. Your soul knows what happened in the past, knows what's happening right now, but also your soul, because your soul is timeless and it's expansive and it goes beyond this body, it knows what the ego does not know, and that is the unknown. The soul is aware of all the infinite possibilities that this business can come forth and emerge. All right. Also, so we've got the control that comes from the anxiety. It causes us to operate from what the mind knows. Then the third thing that I mentioned is that it causes us to judge ourselves. So back to the example of the business. The business that we had in the past that failed, didn't go the way we planned, all right. So then we start to say, well, you know, I'm not going to, maybe I don't want the business, whatever, because maybe I didn't do it right. You know, maybe I followed all of these strategies I did all the things that the business experts told me to do, and maybe I just didn't do it right. Maybe I'm just bad with business. So you start to judge yourself. So I'm going to switch examples. And so I want to say this. This is why during a challenging time that can arise from a spiritual elevation that you're going through, you have to give yourself time to allow your nervous system to become regulated. This way you don't revert back to, oh, I got to control to fix everything. I got to control to keep this from happening again. Give yourself time to allow your nervous system to come down, to be regulated. Allow yourself to pay attention to where the stress is. What do I mean by that? Is it stress in your shoulders? Is it in your chest? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your head? Is it in your hands? Are you finding yourself clenching your hands? Is it in your jaw? Are you finding yourself clenching your jaws? Okay. Not smiling, all of that stress, that's where stress can lodge in our bodies. I just mentioned those areas because for me, I know if I'm allowing stress to, work me or cause me to get off track, those areas that I mentioned, that's where I feel stress. Okay. So that's how I know when I need to calm down. All right. Also, it's important to give yourself time to allow your nervous system to regulate, pay attention to where the stress is, and also allow for enjoyment in your life. Okay. Allow for enjoyment in a way that is healthy for your body. That could be dancing. All right. Could just be going for a walk. All right. I know some people that like to garden. Gardening is not my thing. But whatever is going to bring some relaxation and soothing to your body, that's important to help relinquish control. And maybe not just in a challenging situation, but just in general. All right. So let's keep going through this. When you release control, you're doing it so that you can receive. So I used this same example in a previous video. If you are holding on, if your fists are clenched like this, because you're trying to keep something from happening, you're trying to take control of your situation or take control of your life, how can you possibly receive? You're going to have either this or this. You cannot have both. All right. So you get to make the decision. But when you release control, you're allowing yourself to receive. All right. Your hands are open to receive. Receive what? Well, receive new possibilities. Receive new ways of doing things. New ideas, new wealth building ideas, new visions. You can receive rest, which goes back to what we just talked about with the nervous system. You allow your nervous system to be regulated. That in itself is rest. You allow yourself to receive rest. You allow yourself to receive ease. You allow yourself to get special treatment out in the world. Okay, you allow yourself to get free coffee. You allow yourself to get to board early for whatever reason when that initially was not part of your plane ticket. So all of these things just in everyday life, we forget we can experience ease and we can experience an enchanted life in all of our daily activities. All right. What else can you receive? You can receive downloads from your elevated guides, downloads on who to call, where to go, what to draw, what to say. All right. Whatever. Okay. Guidance. You can receive that when you're not in control. All right. So when you decide to release control, to just surrender. I know a lot of us don't like that word. It can make us feel uneasy. But if you think of surrender let me say it like this. Nobody wakes up and says, let me see how much anxiety and rigidity and stress that I can take on today. So look at control like that. You want to release anxiety, right? Yes. You want to release stress? Yes. You want to release rigidity? Yes. You've asked yourself, I know this can be a lot easier. I know life can be easier. Yes. So unclench your fists. Unclench your fists. Release the control. Look at surrender like that. All right. So here's what you're going to notice as we wrap up this video. You're going to notice when you make a decision to release control, you're going to feel it in your body first. That's most important. You're going to notice your body sensations first. Why? Because when you are controlling, you're in control mode. Most of the time, you're all logical in your head. You have thoughts swirling, and it seems like your head is just out of control. So you're forgetting about your body sensations because you're just so much into your mind. All right. So you're going to experience body sensations first because now you're out of your head. All right. You're going to notice your shoulders drop. You may smile easier. You may start to just let out long sighs. And side note, when you find yourself just all of a sudden taking long sighs throughout the day, it's because you have not breathed, or you have not allowed yourself to breathe normally throughout the day. You've held on to your breath, which is a sign of stress. All right. So you're going to start to let out that long sigh. And then throughout the day, you're going to start to notice your breath more. Your breath is going to be softer, smoother, easier. All right. You're going to notice that you're releasing your stomach muscles more. And why do these sensations happen first? Because your body is now releasing all of that rigidity, all of that rigid energy, all of that anxious energy, okay, all of that controlling energy. Hence, emotional blocks. That's what's happening in your body. So let it happen. It's the emotional blocks that the control and the anxiety and the rigidity has kept lodged in your body. You're now releasing it. And that is something to be excited about. That's something to honor. Okay. So I just want you to think about that. I wanted to talk about control in this way. So let me know what your takeaways are from this video. All right. If you are new here, thank you for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all know what the deal is. All right. So until next time, cheers.